Hi, I'm Gabe.
I'm Kelley.
Hi, I'm Vashitta.
I almost introduced myself as I'm tired.
Yeah, it's been a rough month.
Yeah, it has.
Do you want to talk about Pride stuff first? Or?
I might as well get it out of the way because it's going to be like, what's wrong with Kelley? And I'm like, I'm tired.
Hey, Kelley, how's Pride Month going?
It's long. It's real long.
You've been busting ass, hustling all over the place.
I am. I've been to 4 Prides and I have 2 more left this month. Did
That's
you know
really
that?
terrific.
Did you know that Portsmouth Pride is on the 30th? Do you know what Pride I'm not going to do? That one. I'm not going to that one. Not this year. Maybe next year.
You've done all of them in Ohio so far, except for Pride in the CLE. Hannah took care of that one.
That's true. I think I don't know when Jackson, Ohio has their Pride, but they have one this year too. There's a lot
Jackson,
of
Ohio has a Pride.
There's a
That's
lot
crazy.
of super rural prides this year.
That's definitely more than what I've seen.
Yeah, it's whatever they're doing in Southeast Ohio is that where Jackson, I don't even actually know is.
Yes.
Okay. There's like a Southeastern LGBTQ coalition that has like been busting a lot of ass. Like they've been doing some good work and just putting on a bunch of rural prides in Southeast Ohio. Like Zanesville had their first one this past Monday. Athens had their first Pride parade. Like they had like a week-long Pride, but that was their first official parade this year.
Yeah.
And then Newark Pride had their first Pride this past Saturday, and Newark Pride was popping. Like it was busy. It was awesome.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah, I haven't
amazing.
counted. I haven't counted the petition signatures, but it may even be comparable to Dayton. Like it was.
Wow.
It was
For the
great.
First one, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good. And it was like 4 to 7. It was a good time. I was like, I don't feel dead after this. So it was nice. Athens, like I went to their picnic. It was in the middle of nowhere at a park and there was no actual directions. So we had a time trying to find it on Google Maps. But it was a picnic and it was by a lake and it was cool. I mean, it wasn't cool. It was actually really warm, but it was nice.
Yeah. There's definitely, rural Ohio for the most part, especially the northwestern rural Ohio that I'm from, is incredibly conservative.
I mean, so is South. I mean, I think anywhere rural is going to be considered pretty conservative.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely pockets of Ohio. Yellow Springs jumps to mind. Athens definitely. Well,
that's actually what's really funny about Ohio specifically is there's been so many towns that were founded as like idyllic utopias. Like Yellow Springs was founded as a utopia. They have a college that was like a Unitarian college, and if you know anything about the Unitarians, they're real chill. Yeah. So it's funny that like Ohio specifically has all these rural pockets of like liberal progressiveness.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't think existed.
Yeah, but it does, and it's nice. I mean, it's definitely like almost entirely white people, but that's pretty cool that it exists.
Apparently, there was a plan once upon a time, just talking about how small towns were founded, where Marietta, Ohio, was envisioned as a new capital for the United States of America. As the country was expanding west, that the idea was that the capital could expand west. And after DC would have had its shot, then Marietta would have gotten.
That's wild.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah. I mean, Marietta's a very nice place. It's a nice little quiet river town.
I've never been. Actually,
picturing that as, the capital of the United States.
This was actually my first time to Newark and my first time to Zanesville. Zanesville was at Weasel Boy Brewing. And actually our friend Stephanie Sherwood is like friends with the owner of this brewery.
She loves that entire part of the country.
Yeah,
part of the state.
Yeah, but like it was wild. They gave out a scholarship to students, like to a diversity scholarship for OU Zanesville. So like they're doing the best they can with what they got, and it's really cool.
That's awesome.
Zanesville's a weird town. There's just like a bunch of bronze statues.
And a Y bridge and get your
and lots of churches.
Fiesta pottery.
And the whatever county Republicans are right on the like main stretch. It's like, yes. Hello, rural Ohio.
Yes. But they have a Pride Fest.
Yes.
We're proud of them.
On a Monday night.
and you were rocking it and got mentioned in the paper. And
yeah. I think it's weird that we get asked like, why would pro-choice people do Pride? I was like, well, lots of the LGBTQ protections are based on like the Roe v. Wade decision. So we have a lot at stake and like lots of similar interests that are similarly like attacked. So
yeah.
Also, anyone can get pregnant or get somebody pregnant.
Right.
In that, like, there's a whole gamut of people who are not straight people that can get people pregnant or be pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if you're doing a Pride Festival this month, if you're marching in a parade, or if you're volunteering in our booth, then we support you. So, those are all finished.
No, they're not. We got 2 more. We got
those that we've discussed are all finished. There's still several more.
There are, and maybe we'll get some of them next year. I'm so tired.
This weekend you're going to be at
Columbus Community Pride.
Yes,
it's at Mamie Moore Park. It'll be like 11 to 7. I'm going to get there early to set up, and then like go do some other stuff that also is still work.
Right. This is not the long-standing Columbus Pride Festival. This is the new Community Pride Alternative Festival.
Yes, it highlights and focuses on queer, trans, and intersex people of color.
Yes. So first year for that, the inaugural event.
Yes,
not first annual.
That's not a thing, guys.
The inaugural.
Yes.
And we're proud to support them in that and be a part of it. And then after that, you have Cincinnati Pride.
I do. That's going to be my longest one.
The same weekend as ComFest.
And the same weekend as Lady Parts Justice. It's my longest Pride. It's 12 to 9. I'm gonna be so tired.
You don't have to stay there the whole time.
I won't.
Yeah, that's I think last year I just hate that it stayed from like the time that I got there, set up, and then maybe left around 6 or 7 or something like that. So,
yeah, right on. I don't blame you.
Yeah, because this was Vashitta last year of just running like ragged.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you'll be there. It's not a Pride Fest, but I'll be at ComFest that weekend with Lady Parts Justice. So
I'll be an MC at ComFest on Friday
because you need to do all the events.
I'm just gonna not be here the first half of July. Just kidding. I'm gonna be at Doodah.
Right. I did see a post by Jessica Roach, a friend of ours for Root. She's one of the people who's going to be an MC at ComFest.
All of the MCs this year are women and femme-identified persons.
That's totally awesome.
There's like 50 of us.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Did you know that ComFest has upwards of 2,700 volunteers for the weekend?
They need them.
That's so many people.
Yeah. And that doesn't count people who run the booths like us.
Yeah.
I think of, I volunteer at ComFest every year, but it's rare that I actually volunteer with ComFest.
Yeah. It's
which is a total fun thing to do. You get free beer and a free t-shirt. Why would you not?
Really? Didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
I got some tokens from like 2 years ago. No, it's a good time. It's the largest volunteer run festival in the country.
Right.
Nobody gets paid to do it.
And there's no corporates. Normally you go to an event and you'll see the trash cans are sponsored by Kroger's.
Yep. Nobody does that at ComFest.
And I guess major Nationwide Insurance and Huntington Bank have come to the festival and said, hey, let us put our name on this and we will give you cash. And they were like, no, this is a community festival. They've rejected opportunities to grow the festival because they want it to be community based. That's what ComFest is.
And all the money that does get raised at ComFest goes into a grant program. So they've given back since 2000. I don't know. Actually, I don't know what year it was, but they've given over $300,000 out in grants.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if we have, but some part of our coalition.
Root has. They're a recipient this year.
Yeah. So it's a terrific program. So lots of festivals. So tomorrow, it's not a festival, but it's an event. I'm going right into Pence visiting.
It's going to be exciting just because there's going to be a dancing drag queen waiting for him.
There's probably going to be lots of dancing drag queens.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Yeah, there's an LGBTQ dance party outside the Renaissance. So
right. Downtown Columbus. I think it's 50 North 3rd.
I don't know.
So it's
within the biking distance of the office.
Yes, it is. Oh, I'm totally riding my bike over. Mike Pence is coming, and we sent out an email with my name on it, which is rare that I put my stuff on it. But I'm like, damn it! The first line of the email is, "I do not like Mike Pence." He was a member of Congress when I was working with Planned Parenthood and wanted to shut down the federal government over Planned Parenthood funding. He was going to close down the full federal government to stop people from getting Title X money, which should sound familiar because that's the battle that we're doing as he's vice president. When he was governor of Indiana, he was horrible. He was as bad as Kasich is here in Ohio, maybe worse.
If not worse.
and people in the state of Indiana saw increased HIV rates, all sorts of negative outcomes because of his horrible policies.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That, doesn't even mention all of the anti-LGBTQ policies that he's pushed, just horribly sexist things, in his own personal behavior. So the city of Columbus is giving him on Pride weekend.
This is just poor planning on his part, if I'm being honest.
Drag queens, DJs,
dance party,
everything he hates,
and me,
and Gabe.
Yes, we'll be welcoming Mike Pence to town. Screw you, pal. So
make it gay.
Between 2 and 5 in the afternoon tomorrow. If you want to spend your afternoon with us, come down outside the Renaissance.
It should be fun.
Yeah,
it will be fun.
Yeah. So
85-degree dance party. Wear sunscreen.
Yes. And so that is just a block north of the Statehouse. We're seeing the legislature kind of have some unusual activity in the month of June, as they've had multiple votes to replace the speaker.
That reminds me, yesterday, a year ago, we did the Handmaid's Tale protests for the first time.
Oh, was that yesterday?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Came up in my time hop.
Yeah, because it was during the budget season.
Yep.
But this year, there's no budget cycle, and normally they'd be out of town, but we've been seeing them in town just because they've been screwing around and having weird speaker votes. We talked about that last week. But there was also a couple incidents with one of our favorite legislators, Emilia Sykes.
Yes, and I heard Stephanie House as well. Both.
How can you not recognize Stephanie House specifically?
How can you not recognize any Black woman who's a legislator? And
there's only 9 of them.
Exactly, and mainly there's just white men. So that's just really peculiar to me. And
so what happened? What is the incident at question?
So apparently, when they're trying to get in, they're being either questioned or stopped, or just being told you don't look like a legislator. That's
a direct quote.
Yeah, that was a direct quote of what Representative Sykes was told.
What do you mean she does not look like a legislator?
I didn't know there was a particular look either, but apparently there is. So, and it's not her. Interesting enough, Gabe and I both worked at the Statehouse, so yes. I'm sure we had totally different experience.
I heard
for some reason.
I heard the caveat was you look too young to be a legislator. Is what Emilia Sykes was told?
I think it was something along those lines. You don't look like one, and you look very young. Yeah.
She is young. She's one of the youngest members of the legislature.
How old is she?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
I wonder if the youngest member of Congress or the House ever gets questioned, Mr. Antoni, at 27.
Yeah, somehow, even though there's only 9 Black women, they can't spot them, recognize them, tell them apart.
I think it's
no one misses
BS.
Niraj Antoni.
I think it's BS. I just, for the life of me, I can't see you not recognizing, women who've been around.
Right.
You know who they are. I think it's purposely done. If you ask me, it just doesn't make any sense.
There's 92 white guys. I actually counted. There's 92 white guys in the legislature.
My point exactly.
Jamie is one of the smartest people that walks into that building every week. She could not name all 92 of them if you showed the pictures of them. We don't know them from one to the others because it's 92 mostly old white guys with white hair. You can't tell them apart. There's 9 Black women and they all look significantly different from each other.
Exactly. But
if you're a police officer, how do
you dressed as legislators, as a legislator, and then they also they're there on a regular basis. So how would you not know? Again,
right?
They're not coming in here with jeans and t-shirts and looking like somebody's coming out of the.
They're all very well dressed women.
Absolutely. So again, it makes no sense. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think I had a lot of these. Well, so the Rife is different from the Statehouse. I have never worked in a Rife, but I have walked over there several times for different things. And
going to the Rife.
It is I hate it. I did hate it.
For people who don't know, the Rife is where the offices of the House of Representative are. It's
correct.
One of the big office buildings downtown.
And I think their security probably is a little bit more tight than it is at the Statehouse for sure.
It didn't used to be as bad as it is now.
No, I don't think it was.
Well,
that might be our fault.
for those of us who are old as hell, there used to be no security. I mean, there would be a couple cops down in the lobby,
right?
But for all of these buildings,
they have increased a lot.
Oh yeah, well, when I started there as a page back in the day,
what 99?
Oh, a long time ago. Thank you. Right now there's only 3 ways in and out of the State House, and there's metal detectors there. It used to be that just all the doors were unlocked and you can go in and out whatever entrance you wanted.
That's wild.
And
what are they afraid of?
Yeah.
Is it the guns?
Right. They continue to say, hey, let's have these on a campus or daycare, but we don't want them in here.
Yeah, no, they've introduced a bill to allow guns in K through 12. So
right, but they don't want them in there. There was definitely, I think, a little bit of looking around at other similar government facilities and saying, hey, is this a little bit too open?
Right.
Because the State House has a lot of doors, and you could just stroll in and out of any of them. And with the Rife building, it's 30 stories tall, and you could just stroll in off the street, hop in an elevator, and be up on the 28th floor doing whatever.
They just monitor you, and don't forget your badge. Oh gosh, you have to go through it seems like 7 layers of security just to get in. You're like,
right. The Rife has private security. The State House has highway patrol. The security guards aren't security guards; they're actual full Ohio State troopers.
Who are actually pretty cool, most of them.
They are, until you get to that point where you're trying to get in the building, and you're Emilia Sykes not being recognized as a legislator. And that's what's shocking, is that she was being told that by highway patrol, who are professional law enforcement, who should know the 9 Black women who work in that building.
I don't know. We may be using that term professional too loosely, but I don't know. It's weird because it's just weird to me. I don't know what to say about it. I go in there now and still get asked hey, you don't have your badge anymore? And I'm like, hey, no, I don't work here anymore. But how do you, maybe it's just certain ones, you know what I mean? It has to be. Yeah. As a white guy, there have been several times where I've been able to, just walk in,
use, hey, I'm a white guy. And it's not necessarily walking in, but we had not an event, but a thing where we unveiled a banner out on the steps of the State House last year, which we didn't have a permit for. And so technically that's a no-no. And so I was able to walk up to the building security who was trying to get us to, get the hell off the steps and get that banner out of here.
They were pretty nice to you.
And they were, and I was able to stall. And, there is a little bit of, hey, I'm a white male, you're a white male.
Leniency, please let me
do this. Let's stand here and stall for a minute, and I'm going to ask some slow questions,
And they're going to be like, I know what you're doing.
Right. And so to be able to work that as a white guy, and Emilia Sykes, who is a member of the legislature and is
a Black woman,
permitted to go in any part of any of these buildings whenever she wants, and pretty much any state facility. And so for her to be stopped at the door is pretty hard to believe. That was shocking.
It's not hard to believe, but it's real disappointing.
Yeah, very disappointing. So we just need to changes need to be made. This is unacceptable, and I'm just kind of again disappointed to hear that this is happening to them. They're great legislators. They do great work.
Yes.
If she's not what a legislator looks like, then maybe you should readjust your definition of what a legislator looks like.
There's no particular look of a legislator. This is just unless you just think it's all white people, all white men.
We need to change the look of the legislature as a whole.
I thought we've been doing that.
We need to keep doing that. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
A definite disappointing moment at the State House.
Right.
I would say it's a low, but is it really a low?
It's not for Ohio. But shout out to all of the Black women who are in the legislature, and Representative Sykes and House, and Representative Golonsky, and Ingram and Boyd, and just Brown. All of the everyone. Reese. Shout out to all of them for the great work that they do. and just to keep pushing through all
Williams.
of this. Definitely, Senator Williams.
We love all of you.
Thomas, yeah.
He's not a black woman.
Yeah, but we were shouting out all the black people, so I just thought I would throw it in there.
Joe Eaker. Oh, wait, no, he's an old white guy.
Wow.
No, seriously, shout out to them for continuing to do all the good work that they do.
Joe Eaker should be stopped at the door and turned away. I have no problem saying that.
Just turn around.
Yeah. But that would never happen. So,
right.
What else are we talking about?
Well, I think I think what makes this especially troubling this year is that there have been many other instances just, that we've been seeing of police abuse, punching the young woman at the beach in New Jersey.
Yeah, that was disturbing. I mean,
what?
Unnecessary.
There was some, young woman. She was 20 years old. Apparently there was closed containers of alcohol. There was beer cans near her, and they stopped to try and breathalyze her or, check on her, whatever. And the altercation escalated so quickly that within about a minute, she was getting punched in the head and held down and handcuffed.
By men. By men. Like
by these, police
multiple men.
officers.
It was like unnecessary.
Horrible escalation.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was another video. I'm not quite sure where it's from, but we see this guy basically having a cigarette out on a balcony, and some cops walk out, and within a minute, the guy's getting punched in the face, even though he was complying with. And there's been so many of these.
And I think they're suspended. They still may have their jobs now, but
suspended with pay. And somebody pointed out that there's so many of
fired.
these, and it's like, here's this free vacation while we look into it and then don't punish you later.
That's exactly what it is. Like,
and
I don't like cops.
I want to like cops.
I don't.
I want to have faith in law enforcement.
You want to, but it's like you keep showing us that we can't, because like these escalations in these situations are so disturbing. It's like people are going to be afraid to come to you for anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's the kind of personality that's attracted to the work. That's all I'm going to say.
There's a lot of people, especially like a lot of white people who are now like, I'm not even going to call the cops if there's something to do with a black person, because I'm afraid they're going to get killed. Like,
right.
I live in the Hilltop. I don't call the cops.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm a dad and I'm a homeowner. I want to have faith in law enforcement to be able to protect the things that I care about. But I'm just
they're there to protect property, so that's your concern. That's what they're going to do. But they ain't there to protect your life.
Right. We need some serious changes.
And I don't
unfortunately,
know what's happening.
Seeing a legislator told, well, you don't look like you belong here. Is another serious letdown.
I mean, like, complete disrespect.
Yeah. So okay, so there's that. Other stuff relevant to the State House, the Supreme Court of the United States.
Again, big long sigh. Yes.
Yeah, has said that it's okay for Ohio to kick people off voter rolls.
Voters.
I feel like
they have not voted in a certain amount of time.
It's
voter suppression.
It is, but like
really blatant voter suppression.
They have no qualms about doing it. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't actually speak with any authority here, but I will. What I understood of the decision, it's something that could be fixed by the state. So Kathleen Clyde, should she be elected, could ameliorate the situation. Because it doesn't technically violate the law amendment about purging voter rolls. I don't remember the details. I'm sorry. Kelley.
Purging voter rolls is this idea that
Republicans it's based on something forward. Like there is like
it's based on Republicans want to stay in office.
I know, but there's a justification that they offer for purging the voter rolls.
If they don't vote for a certain number of years or in a certain,
it's not even that. It's like they haven't updated their registration or something like that.
But just leave the records on file. If the person,
I agree,
walks into a polling place on election day and there's, their name in the book saying, hey, I'm a registered voter here, then they should be allowed to vote. And it shouldn't matter if that voter registration is 10 or 20 years old.
Not vote, or to not, have a say, is to say, hey, you didn't vote, in this many years or in, whatever it is. And now you can't vote. You have to re-register. A lot of people's not going to know that. They're not going to know that they've been purged off of the voter roll and things like that. So yeah, we definitely have to get Kathleen Clyde elected as Secretary of State.
To ameliorate the situation, yes.
Yes.
I clearly do not agree with the decision. I understand the reasoning behind it, kind of.
Oh, I don't.
I mean, I can't because knowing the Supreme Court and the makeup of it, that it is right now, I understand it because it's majority Republican. Like that's why I understand.
4 votes. It wasn't.
Yeah. I understand it like in a technicality sense, like the same way I understand like the cake case. Like, okay, technically correct is not the best kind of correct in this situation.
Right.
I will say that Ohio's like voter records are some of like the cleanest in the country, which is gross.
That's right. Yeah, clean voter records is
what
like
does that even mean?
It means the van is consistently updated, which is useful if you're running a campaign because you know where the voters are, but like also gross if you're like, I wanted to vote and now I didn't know that I wasn't registered.
Right. Well, the sort of most egregious situation of
I believe in same-day voting.
Yeah. Of John Husted, the Secretary of State.
His office, like him and DeWine, their office is like right on the line. Yeah. I hate it.
John Husted was confronted by a veteran who said, "Hey, I went to the polling place and I wasn't allowed to vote," and I think got into an actual shoving match with this guy, and refused to listen to an Ohio voter, who was trying to explain, listen, I was registered legally and turned away from a polling location. And this veteran, could not get the attention of John Husted, even though he was like right in his face.
You said he's a veteran. Like, seriously, that's sad.
Yeah. I mean, when they
he probably didn't vote because he was overseas.
Yeah. I think I'm going to need to look this one up, but I think you're dead right. It was like, I was in Afghanistan, in the, Hindu Kush mountains. And for some reason I wasn't able to, send in my absentee ballot as people were shooting at me. And because of that, you took me off the voter rolls.
That's absurd.
And John Husted was like, sorry, gotta go.
I'm going to be so mad if he's elected.
John Husted's not a good guy at all.
At all.
Duh.
And he's a terrible Secretary of State. So
he'll be an even worse lieutenant governor. So
so don't vote for John Husted at all.
If you're listening to the podcast, you either won't or you're a weirdo.
Right. Yeah. Joe Kelley, he's the Democratic mayor of Oak Harbor, was in a dramatic exchange on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court with John Husted, and explained that he was cheated out of his opportunity to vote. He was in 2011 returned from tours in Iraq and Afghanistan and tried to vote in a local election, only to be told that poll workers couldn't find his name.
Okay, so I was right.
Yes, you nailed it.
Yay, me.
And John Husted would not talk to this guy.
Sorry about your luck.
Yeah. So
Ohio needs to see some changes.
Right. So the good news is that DeWine and Cordray are now polling even.
I actually saw one that said Cordray was ahead, but I mean, it's polling.
It's a very close race,
which is good.
It is good because a lot of people thought that DeWine was just going to be skyrocketing like ahead, and that's not the case.
I think what I read was that people know who DeWine is and they don't like him.
Yeah, people know who he is, but the people who don't know, we can define him, so we can say, hey, this is the awful things he's done in his whole career, which is like, seems like it's been like 100 years long.
He's an old man.
Yeah, like, a lot of people kind of peg him as the career politician with his own special interests.
Right. That's exactly right.
I also saw polling for the Brown-Renacci race, and like, that isn't close.
It's not.
Which is exciting.
Sherrod Brown's doing well.
It's one of those things that it's exciting that Sherrod Brown is, kicking ass like he should. On the other hand, it would be nice if it was a little closer so that, big groups that spend money in races would spend some more in Ohio.
There's that.
But I will definitely take Sherrod destroying Jim Renacci
Any day.
Who still completely aligns himself with Donald Trump and all of Trump's horrible policies.
Totally not, I mean, tangentially related. Mark Sanford of South Carolina lost his primary, which I'm excited about. Mark Sanford was the former South Carolina governor who hiked the Appalachian Trail, aka cheated on his wife.
Yes.
And then he went on to win a congressional seat, but he just lost his primary by criticizing Trump. So I'm not a big fan of that part, but
weird.
I know.
Yeah.
That's South Carolina for you.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't have voted for the guy in the first place.
Yeah. No.
So then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the passing of Anthony Bourdain, which I don't know if either of you were fans of.
I like food.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan, but I definitely feel like it was still heartfelt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bummer, but that's really all I have to feel about it.
Oh, I was completely devastated.
I'm sorry.
A lot of people were, yeah.
I think it's mostly just like right after the
Kate Spade.
Yeah. Just like
yeah, there was definitely that, and I do appreciate both of these passings, both by suicide together, and I think that there was a lot of really heartfelt discussion of mental health issues and people being able to get the care that they need.
And both of these individuals are very wealthy, so that right there tells people,
successful.
Exactly, it does not matter if you're wealthy, if you have all the money in the world, if you have all the successes in the world, if your mental state is compromised, or how you have some type of mental illness, that's going to overtake anything.
Unlike cops, mental illness does not discriminate.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true.
The thing for Anthony Bourdain about me, I was always a fan of, the food stuff and the travel shows, and, I would love to be off running around in every country and
eating good food,
living out of a suitcase. It sounds like, an amazing lifestyle. I'd read his books. I'd gotten his cookbooks from the library. I was a huge fan.
But Gabe, we didn't know.
Yeah. Over the past 2 years, though, seeing him come out as a supporter on a personal level of the women who've been leading the Me Too movement in Hollywood, and the way he's addressed this, this whole controversy and the area of sexual harassment and sexual assault, and done it in a way of saying, hey, this causes me to look back at my own personal behavior. And while I wasn't necessarily guilty,
he's definitely said some not great things about fat people.
Okay. The way he's talked about the Me Too movement and said, hey, I've turned a blind eye to seeing my own coworkers be harassed. There are flaws within the restaurant industry that, he's ignored in the past and wants to improve,
kind of make amends. And
the way he's talked about these things as an ally to women, of like, hey, we need to believe women, we need to listen to women. He's been really the only sort of celebrity taking this angle. And so, I definitely
from
found
the food sector,
from being men listening to women who have been disclosing their own personal assaults and harassment stories, of just listening to them and believing them, and not trying to interject your own opinion, but just allowing them to speak. That's been particularly important to me. And the other area that he was a huge advocate in right from the very beginning of his stardom was speaking up for especially Latinos and Latinas in the food sector, talking about, how we really turn a complete blind eye to, the fact that so much of our food, from the way that it's grown in the fields to slaughterhouses to, the back end of every restaurant you've ever eaten at anywhere, is probably, staffed by
migrant
workers. And, for us to say, no, we don't want immigrants in this country. It's like, where the hell are you going to go eat? If not for them. So that was important. I don't know about the comments on the fat issues. So I'm not saying he was perfect. He definitely never claimed to be perfect.
Everybody's fave is problematic.
Yes, that is absolutely true. So I was just devastated to hear of his passing. So
yeah, it's been an interesting conversation about mental illness, because it's like, on the one hand, you want people to be able to seek the help they need, but also a lot of people don't, out of like fear of being institutionalized.
Yeah, or ashamed, or just,
so the mental
illness is still stigmatized.
Oh yeah,
for whatever reason, like
mental health care in this country is not great.
Right.
Unfortunately.
So we need to find solutions. Mike Pence is not a part of that, so we're going to go protest him tomorrow, and then you're going to go to Pride.
Yes.
So, okay.
Are we out of time as far as talking about other things?
Yeah, if you got another thing, go for it.
The families at Borders, just note.
Yeah.
Do we have time to talk about that?
They ripped a baby who was
off of the breast of a Honduran woman.
Who does that? Like, these people are animals. Like, you have no compassion or no nothing. Like,
so I also read about a woman who was on a Greyhound bus, and ICE boarded this bus.
She's awesome.
Yeah. And she shouted, "This is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. You don't have to show them anything." And they're like, "Okay," and then got off the bus.
Yeah. She screamed down Border Patrol.
Wow.
Turns out knowing your rights makes everything a lot easier for you.
That is true.
So the way border agents works is like, if it's not a border, they can't do anything, except that there's like been a law or a decree passed that they can operate within like 100 miles of the border of airspace, which includes like whole states like Florida or like Ohio, or like, and because apparently lakes are as good as borders, includes like Chicago, and like where like 2/3 of the population lives within 100 miles of the US border.
Yes.
So I don't think this law, decree, or whatever it is actually trumps like the Constitution, but that doesn't mean they're not going to try. So know your rights and shout down ICE when you can.
Yeah.
I know there are members of Congress right now at the Customs and Border Patrol office staging a sit-in. I just retweeted one of the members of Congress who's participating in that right now. So, I mean, this really does seem to be like one of the greatest humanitarian crises. Now
Trump wants to build a camp.
Yeah, like an actual tent city. Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
I mean, there's like upwards of 1,500 kids being held at a former Walmart right now. So
yeah,
there's already camps happening.
We're all parents here, and I just couldn't imagine my children being taken away from me. And I don't know where they are, what's going on, anything, especially when they're young.
Right.
Like, it's devastating.
Yeah. This is the pro-life administration of Donald Trump and Mike Pence.
Goodness, we tried to tell y'all. Nobody wanted to listen.
I think some people wanted to listen.
Yeah.
What do we do? I mean, the popular vote listened.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess we're ending on a happy note.
We're trying.
I was trying to go back to Pride, but
sorry.
Drag queens and DJs tomorrow.
I just thought that was that was an important topic.
Make Mike Pence feel uncomfortable as much as possible.
Do you think that man is ever comfortable? That's what I want to know. I don't think he is.
I hope not.
He's probably
I feel like it's hard to exist as Mike Pence and be comfortable.
Yeah, just what an evil human being.
Right. You have to be unhappy with yourself to be that evil.
Yeah. Okay. Go to Pride.
Yes.
Celebrate, protest. We'll be with you. Kelley will be with you. She'll be driving.
Oh yeah, just me. Only me. I'll be there.
She's so bitter.
I am. Why is it funny that I'm the only one?
Because I've been through it, but I've been through it too, and it
sucks.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's fun, but
once you get through it, though, it's also like very refreshing to know how many people are supporting you and glad that you're there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm tired, and like that's why I'm grumpy. But it's actually been a really good time, and I've had a lot of fun. I'm just tired.
Yeah, I mean, like when one of our candidates say, "Hey, you guys have amazing staff. You guys are doing great work," like that means a lot, So you're doing a great job. So just hold on.
Aw, thanks.
Someone's done.
Kicking ass and taking names. Okay. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.